In one of the most wild and unpredictable college football seasons of all time, many fans, including myself, are confused on what exactly the conference championship games could look like. Don't worry, because in this video, I'll explain all the possibilities and their playoff implications as well. This should be one interesting Week 13. Let's start with the most straightforward conference, the Big Ten, because Oregon's already punched their ticket to Indianapolis, so we know the Ducks will be there, but things could get crazy from there. The Buckeyes looked good last week against Indiana, but with the game coming up, anything can happen. While it's not exactly bedlam, any rivalry game, especially this year, has serious upset potential. If Ohio State gets the win in Columbus, they will get their rematch against the Ducks in Indianapolis. That is, unless they lose, where they would then need some help. The Buckeyes would then need both Indiana and Penn State to lose their final games to still advance to the title game. Speaking of Penn State, the Nittany Lions have a path to the Big Ten title, and starts with a win over Maryland, which should be manageable, but they would need an Ohio State loss to make their dreams come true. Indiana needs a win over in-state rival Purdue. That should be easy, and losses by previously mentioned Ohio State and Penn State to advance to nearby Indianapolis. It's all very simple if Ryan Day and the Buckeyes take care of business, but Michigan has won the last couple of meetings, and despite this being Sharon Moore's first season, he already has his first head coaching win in the rivalry with the absence of Harbaugh last year, so this might not be so simple. The SEC was a mess last week.
We do not have a refund policy for the playoff train.
What you mean you ain't got my refund? It's facing the pot.
But in doing so, made the championship and playoff scenarios less messy. Alabama forgot how to play offense against Oklahoma, and Ole Miss did the same in the final 2 minutes against Florida, knocking both of them out, I think.
Does Alabama still have a way to get in?
Absolutely, Greenie.
Regardless, they're out of the conference championship game, so there's 3 survivors remaining, including the Georgia Bulldogs, who are probably very glad that Bama will be back to haunt them once again this year, because they were already in the conference championship game. Meanwhile, to make up for the disappointing Lone Star State rivalry on Monday night between the Texans and Cowboys, Texas and Texas A&M will fight for a spot in Atlanta. Texas A&M needs this game more, since they already have 2 losses, compared to Texas with just 1, to Georgia. And let's not forget about Tennessee and South Carolina, who might not be able to advance to the SEC championship, but playoffs are still definitely a possibility. Now the ACC is also pretty straightforward. Simple explanation, if Miami wins against Syracuse, they'll play for the championship against SMU. If they lose, Clemson will play SMU instead. The Mustangs have already punched their ticket to Charlotte in their first season as members of the Atlantic Coastal Conference. But the Hurricanes are very close. It won't be easy, but if they can defeat the Orange on the road, they will get a spot in the ACC title game. And very likely the playoffs as well, no matter what the result against SMU is. But that's all theoretical, because they have to win first. No matter what happens against South Carolina, Clemson will need Miami to lose to meet the Mustangs for a shot at the title and a playoff spot. Now time for the Big 12. The opposite is straightforward, in fact, the definition of confusion. If you're hoping for a simplified explanation, I'm afraid that's impossible, because believe it or not, 9 teams, yes, 9 like the number before 10, are still mathematically alive to win the Big 12 conference. Now, out of those 9, there are really 4 teams who separated themselves, kind of, from the rest of the pack. Arizona State, BYU, Iowa State, and Colorado are all tied with conference records of 6-2. And remarkably, none of them control their own destiny.
We control our own destiny, and we fumbled it.
Among them, Arizona State, who seems to be playing the best out of the 4 right now, and Iowa State have the best chances. But there's still hundreds, yes, hundreds of result combinations which will determine the Big 12 championship game. And I know many of you will be disappointed, but I'm not going to go through all 256 of them, just some of the main ones. Starting with who they play. Arizona State plays Arizona, BYU hosts Houston, Iowa State and Kansas State play in what should be an exciting game, and then Coach Prime and Colorado face a disappointing Cowboy squad from Oklahoma State. If they all win, which is most probable, Arizona State and Iowa State meet in Arlington. The same is true if everyone wins except Colorado. If 2 of them win and 2 of them lose, so let's say for example Arizona State and Colorado win, and BYU and Iowa State lose, then the Sun Devils and Buffaloes will play for the Big 12 championship. If Iowa State is the one losing team, Arizona State and BYU will get a rematch. If Arizona State is the team that loses, then BYU will face Iowa State instead. However, if the Cougars are the losers, Colorado will visit the Lone Star State against either Iowa State or Arizona State. Trust me, it gets complicated from there, but it'll be one of those two matchups. There are also some scenarios where 5 and 3 teams I have not mentioned make it to the title game, but that is unlikely. So all you need to know is that they would need at least 3 out of the 4 conference leaders to lose, and then some help as well. Does your favorite team still have a chance? If your favorite team plays in the Big 12, then probably. In all seriousness though, a lot of teams are still in contention for a conference championship, and in this new era of college football, a playoff spot too. And if your team's out of it, or you are a Notre Dame fan, just enjoy the games, because there's going to be absolute chaos no matter what. Much of the 12-team playoff will be decided this weekend. As always, thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe.